Hello, everyone. I've been talking to a lot of people lately and considering my own journey. I thought I'd share something with you that would help you sustain the levels of love and joy and peace and understanding in your life. Sometimes we do things where it seems like it's working, we're getting somewhere, and crash and burn. Maybe we feel good for a little bit, crash and burn. We wake up in the morning and what? Anger, depression, anxiety. So, I want to share with you not just how to deal with your emotions, but literally how to create the emotions that you want to have. Because it's your body. I cannot sit here and beam emotion into anybody. It doesn't work that way. This is the emotion equation. What you, or sorry, your body creates emotions based on what you believe is happening. That's it. It's very simple. Now, you don't need to trick yourself into believing something that's not real. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, literally, the body is going to create emotions for you based on what you think is happening. Now, to understand this a little bit further, what you are is an identity, right? What you identify as dictates what you see and feel in any given situation. And this is something that you set up for yourself. The universe did not set this up for you. Society probably had a play in it. The way you were raised has a huge major role in this. But it goes like this. I don't like the rain. That's an identity. You're literally identifying as somebody who doesn't like the rain. So if you're placed outside in the rain, what do you feel? Not good, because you identify as somebody who doesn't like the rain. It's very basic, you know. People have all kinds of ideas and beliefs about things, and most of them aren't just an idea and a belief, it's an actual identity, right? I'm a brother, I am a mother, I am this, I am that, I am a particular race or some religious group or some sort of culture. Like, it is literally identifying as all of these things. And identity for most people is scattered all over the place. They just don't understand what they're doing. It's not taught in our schools how to be at peace, how to be full of love in the face of whatever's happening, right? That's not taught. You know what's taught. See, it kind of goes like this. If you have a limited identity, your connection with everything is going to be pretty limited. The intellect is like a sharp knife, right? It goes on dissecting things. Some people have heard this and they don't quite know what to make of it. And I'm just going to say that's thinking to a degree. Thinking is only recycling the past data, as in you can only think about what you've experienced and whatever is inside of you already. You can't go inside your mind and figure out physics if you don't know it, or how to speak another language, or just anything. It's very limited. But we've gone on to identify as the voice inside of the head. We've gone on to identify as the physical body. We've gone on to identify as this, that, and this, genders, and just all kinds of things. And it's not very conducive to anything in particular. So this intellect I talk about, this sharp knife, it's a survival tool. You gotta think to be able to survive. But survival is taken care of pretty quickly. And for a human being, survival isn't enough. Like, our life begins at survival, it doesn't end at survival. And most of us are still trying to survive because we only have one aspect taken care of, the physical aspect. We don't have the mental, emotional portion taken care of because you need love. It's not a want, this is an actual need. You need peace. If you don't have peace inside, like, you will lose your mind. People drive hundreds of miles out into the wild to find some peace. It's because there's none within, and that, you get it? And you need understanding or some sort of guidance to help you along the right path. So this intellect, this intelligence in the mind, is a sharp knife. And if you go on thinking about people inside your mind, you start dissecting them. You start cutting them into pieces. You start... And people who are cut into pieces are ugly, right? It takes away the whole beauty of life. You're not even experiencing them anymore. You're taking your intellect and you're trying to know them through an intellectual process. But an intellectual process is going to cut everything to shreds because it's a survival tool. How you would know somebody is like this. They're sitting right in front of you. You don't need to think. Just observe. Experience. This is how you know somebody beyond your thoughts. This is how you make a union with somebody. This is how you forge a connection. They're right in front of you. All you have to do is observe. And you'll know just what they're expressing. We talk to people, words are said, and you'll see some people... See, they missed it for a second. They got distracted by what was happening inside. The connection failed. It comes back. So with our limited identities, this creates limited possibilities for ourselves. We say things like, I just feel this way. This is just who I am. I is literally identity. It's not you. It's this perceived idea of who you are, which is limiting, right? And now, since we have limitations, it's hard for us to deal with things. We don't understand things. We come up with an idea of how we want things to be, and then we try to make it happen. And it seems like we feel good. Boof. And then it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? If you can dissolve or obliterate your boundaries of who you think you are and take on... There's two workable solutions here. You either identify as the whole living cosmos or you identify as nothing at all. Because the whole purpose of the intellect is to protect your identity. If you identify as a single mother and you hear somebody bad talking single moms, you put yourself in that car and now you feel offended. You feel threatened. See, this is how identity works. And now you're upset. You can't control how you feel. You know what's worse than being a slave? You know what's worse than being in prison? Is when somebody can say something to you and they control how you feel inside. That's worse than being a slave. That's the worst possible thing that could happen. Just the sounds coming from somebody's mouth. Literally, words. Boof. If you identify as a particular color, which I think people are now calling race. I thought there was only the human race, but whatever. Culture, people don't really know how to describe it, but if you hear somebody talking bad about the skin color that you've identified as, now you feel threatened, you feel attacked. It's just like that. But you feel inside that you're so much more than just this body. You feel inside a depth that it can't be explained. There's no room for you inside of this body. We're literally talking beyond the physical here. So if you can identify as life itself, as the whole living cosmos, or nothing at all, you're going to be on the right track. Now when people talk to you, you can understand that they're not attacking you. They're not doing anything except for expressing how it is for them, for that person. Yes, this is how it is for that person. But most of the time we're reactionary, and we let ourselves be held as an emotional hostage. Emotions are strong. We can read it. We might not be conscious of it, but if somebody comes up to you, oh, this emotion, some people just don't know how, and they start to feel the same way, right? They upset people make you upset. So if you want to create the emotions that you want to have, it takes you letting go of this fake idea of who you think you are. And I say fake because we're not the body, we're not this voice inside the head, we're not any of these physical things. We know we're so much more. You don't need to put a name on it. It's beyond words. Some people have dubbed it God, some people have dubbed it this, that, whatever. You don't need to. It's just we're putting words and ideas towards things that are not words and ideas. So how do you get away from this, right? How? It maybe it makes sense logically, but then it's like, but how? But how? You're a logical person. Now's the chance where we're going to use logic in a particular way to break out of our mental and emotional prison, our limitations, our limited identity. This body. We know we're clearly not the body. You can look in your hand. Are you inside your hand? Absolutely not. We've seen dead bodies, most of us. Is that person in that body? But the body remains, right? It's still here. But that person is gone. That means you are not the body. You didn't get to choose this body. You didn't get to choose anything about this. It started off this big and now you're as big as you are. Because you've eaten food and there's an intelligence at work within you that turned it into a human being. The body is not who you truly are. This is like having a vehicle. This is here to serve you. We have a voice inside the mind. The voice can never be you. You've heard it. You know how crazy it is. If you acted on every thought you had, you'd be a madman. If you believed every thought you had, you'd be a complete psychopath. Now, we know that, yet at some point it crosses a line where we can't ignore what we're hearing. It gets to us. This is how you battle the voice inside the head. You don't need to battle it. I just use that word, but all you simply have to do is understand that this truly isn't you. And when you catch yourself doing it, you just shift your attention right back to where you want it to be. As many times as it takes. Because that mind is going to wander. You're going to have to grab it, bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back to focus. You'll get there. You are not the emotions that you feel. We feel so strongly, but it's not you. If you could create the type of emotions you want to have, how do you think that would work? You would have to have an unlimited identity. If you're limited in your identity where you don't know how to feel, other people are going to choose for you. You're going to become reactionary. But there's also this. Let's talk about the exchange of emotions for a little bit, because I don't think a lot of people understand how this plays out. It kind of goes like this. You might not love yourself. It's fine. That's because underneath it all, what you've identified as is truly unlovable. I'm sorry. I say that from a place of love. You don't love yourself because who and what you've chosen to identify as is unlovable. But it goes like this. You you may not love yourself, but you'll be full of love for somebody else, right? Like your mother, your brother, your friend, whatever, whoever. When you think about them, you literally fill yourself up with your own love. And then you express it. The emotions aren't something you can put onto a plate and give to another person and they say, "Oh, thank you." It doesn't work like that. You express the emotions, huh? And if that other person recognizes your expression of love, they then fill themselves up with their own love. It's a complete psych out to think that people don't have love in their life when they love other things and other people so much. They're psyched out. And that's where the limited identity really comes into play, because they think other people are not them. Right? They're not me. I love them. Well, then clearly you don't know how to love yourself, because we are the same life force. The same life force within me is within you. It's within the trees. It's within the birds. It's within every living thing in this cosmos. Simply, life is bursting into everything. So it's like that. If you identify as everybody, you know they are you. You're one and the same. Your intellect will go to work to protect not just you and this little cars that you've put yourself in, but literally everything. Then you won't go around with this intellect and cutting everything to shreds, trying to know things through an intellectual process. That's not how you know things. How you know things is through experience. Yeah. You can't know what it's like to jump out of a plane without jumping out of a plane. And if you sit here and you try to think about it, you might be able to imagine it, but you'll never be able to experience it. All you're going to experience is your own thoughts. So, if you can get your mind in a particular way, if you can get your emotions in a particular way, if you can get your body in a particular way and your energies in a particular way, and I'm talking about a whole sustained level of pleasantness, what do you think is next? Now you're free to have experiences beyond the physical. You can make connections with life. See, there's almost two worlds that we live in. We live in this giant living cosmos created for us. You can walk outside, we can look at a tree, we can all stand in a circle and agree that a tree is there. Now, what's happening inside of you, that's your creation. This information that you receive from looking at a tree, what do you do with it? Some people call it perspective. Oh, well, I see a beautiful tree. Oh, well, I see an ugly tree. I don't even care. This is what people do with the information. This is your doing. There's a whole living cosmos created for you. Your inner world is your creation. Most of us aren't taught how to create it, right? It's not taught in the school system. It's not taught by our parents. It's taught by very, very few. But truly, if you want sustainability and feeling good inside and being full of love, it's understanding that this is your creation. How you chose to be. A lot of us have been through hardships, right? Painful situations. And we say to ourselves, like if somebody bullied me one time and I felt bad, I said, next time that happens, I'm going to pop off on that guy. And it happens, and I pop off on him. 10 years later, I'm still popping off on people. I set myself up to be that way because nobody taught me. Nobody said, hey, it's okay. It's a tough situation. You haven't been in this situation before. The trick is to learn how to be yourself in the face of this. Learn how to fill yourself with love. Don't lose your peace. Learn how to keep it in the face of what's happening. Yeah? But we don't operate like that. We come home. Oh, somebody scratched my car. Oh, those effing jerks. Those pieces of craps. The negativity starts spewing forth. Nobody says, how can you find your peace in the face of that? Nobody offers words of, come on, let's bring back the love. It's not a big deal. Right? It doesn't go down like that. You victimize yourself, other people victimize you, we start spewing forth negativity. It's unconscious. And a lot of us don't know what to do with that because, unfortunately, a lot of us deal with pain, emotional pain, and it really gets to an unbearable place. I've been there. I was 10 years old. I felt like killing myself. And it's not that. And a lot of people think it's like some kind of contest, how much pain you're in. Oh, well, I went through this, I went through that. It doesn't matter. Emotional pain builds to the point where it's unbearable. Physically, if you were being tortured and they're cutting off your fingers and all this stuff, if you get the chance, you're going to kill yourself to end it, right? It's not a question. You're just going to do it emotionally. If you've built up that much pain, you either physically kill yourself or you start to kill yourself inside to the point where you try not to feel anything, and both are terrible. I mean, the third option is escape. And a lot of us escape through drugs, alcohol, relationships. I mean, anything and everything you could think of to just not face that pain. Because it hurts. And most of us are like, I am not going to go back there. We don't even understand that this is our doing. That we're the ones causing ourselves pain. Because people victimized us. We went through some things and they said, oh, this is so terrible. This is so tragic. Oh my gosh, if this happened to me. And they kind of put that onto you, right? This is the knife, the sharp knife of the intellect. We're going around, we're cutting ourselves up, we're cutting other people up. The world's in tatters. We don't know what to do with it all. You know, if you're in pain, I just want to say, I love you and I'm so sorry. We do this to ourselves as a society because we don't know any better. You know, we try to tell people how it is and what it is, and it's never been like that. So if you're looking for peace, if you're looking for love, turn all your attention inward. The emotion equation. Your body produces emotions based on what you believe is happening. Second, who and what you think you are, what you identify as, is going to dictate what you see and feel in any given situation. So if you want to break this mold, you got to break out of your identity. You got to start to use a logic that breaks you free of it instead of setting you into it. Cementing you into it is having thoughts like, man, I hate this type of stuff. That's not going to serve you. You're literally just going to create negativity for yourself by being like that. Looking at it like, why am I feeling this way? That's a good question. Well, right? Now you start to dig around, you focusing inward. You're not looking outward and reacting. Start to turn inward. If you can do these things, I'm telling you, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. Try it out for yourself. Because You're not gonna know unless you do. Well, thanks for listening. If there's anything else you guys want to hear about, I'm gonna be making more content, of course. I love you guys.